The Patterson Foundation
strengthens people, organizations, and communities by focusing on issues that address mutual aspirations,
foster wide participation, and encourage learning and sharing.
Let's see some key highlights from Part 1.
What does excellence mean to the Patterson Foundation?
Well, the way that I internalize that phrase is that we are always trying to look at what we're planning from multiple perspectives. Not only what do we want to get out of the event, but for the people who are experiencing it, how are we making sure that it is effective for them?
Like a dual perspective, not only what does CPF want to achieve, but what do those who are attending want to achieve? And because of that dual approach, I think it's safe to say that when people see that the Patterson Foundation is hosting an event, they tend to want to show up. and that's because there's a standard of excellence that PPF has set, and people have come to know what to expect. They'll know, they'll learn a lot, they'll share, they'll connect, they will be fed, as you shared before. But a lot of times what people don't see is the planning, the preparation, and the execution that happened behind the scenes in order for them to come today and have a great time with us.
Good enough isn't good enough when you're talking about truly honoring people's contributions to this movement, whether it's the Campaign for Grade Level Reading or any one of the other initiatives that the Patterson Foundation puts forward.
And now for Part 2 of the Beyond the Blog podcast. Let's watch.
So I know finding the right people is one thing, but then there's the entire element of managing expectations and assigning responsibilities and overseeing all the many things that are happening. And to help with that, PPF has a set of what we call event excellence documents to ensure that there's consistency in event planning across all TPF initiatives. And although they continue to evolve, I'd like to focus on two of them, which is the framework and the Run of Show. So please, Beth, share with us what those documents are and how are they used in this instance to help plan the celebration breakfast.
Well, I'll start with the framework because that's what we start with. So any time we are going to put forth an event or a project with the Patterson Foundation, we want to complete a framework that goes through all of the different elements of putting forth something that will ring with excellence. So from who are the people on the team that are going to be working on the project? If we have outside partners working on the project, who are those outside partners? What kind of communication are we going to have? What is the need? Why do we need to have this particular event? And then getting more into details. If it's an event or if it's a project, what is the length of time? And we take that from when we'll first start planning the event to any follow-up that's needed following the event. So we try to be thoughtful about every element. It's also our chance to put together budget expectations for the event. What is the dream? What would that dream cost? If the dreaming cost is not part of the budget, what are the things that we could adjust that would bring it more in line with what we're trying to do? And we, especially with the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, because we want people to leave with the thought that they are part of something, how we're going to include people in the event. There's a big difference between presenting for an hour and engaging for an hour. And we're always in the framework looking for the ways that we can engage. We then, after we put the framework together, we review it as a team. Always we make adjustments, improvements, we evolve it to where we think we've got a good, solid plan. And then we submit it to Deborah Jacobs, our president and CEO. For any of the people listening who don't know Deborah well, she's so great at details and also very good at big pictures. So very often she's able to look at the plan, suggest things that might enhance it or ask us questions that point out something that maybe we've missed. And once we're all happy with how the plan is, it's signed, and that becomes our blueprint for the event. And then each one of the components of the framework that is broken down, and we come up with a run of show, which is even more detailed. For instance, with the celebration breakfast, we want to know what's the Wi-Fi in the building, what's the code, how can we get that on all of the tables, what are the table direction or tablescapes going to look like, how are they going to be created? I think we have 31 or 32 tables. How can we make sure that everything we need to build the tablescapes is at the venue on time so that we can set it up? What time can we get in the venue to set up? How can we make sure that the name tag design matches the design of the tablescape, matches the design of the PowerPoint? With the PowerPoint, what's our plan to test all of the technology? How can we work with the organization that's running the lights and the sound to make sure they understand our expectations? When is the sound check? What's plan B in case one of the microphones goes out? So what we try to do is make sure we have a plan that works when everything goes well, with contingencies in case we run across things that could potentially derail things.
I love that you touched upon evolving, which is one of TPF's approaches closest. And so why is it important? Because not SCGLR's first time doing Suncoast Remake Learning Days or having the celebration event, and each time it evolves. Why is that important?
I think it's important for a couple of different reasons. One, we all want to be part of something that is alive. And if we just do the same thing over and over and over again, just talking about it in that way makes it seem not alive and not vibrant. And if we talk about the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading being a movement, we continue to welcome new people into the movement, and people want to do things that are exciting and vibrant and feel like they matter. So the more attention that we can give things and the more thought we can put into things, and the more we can learn from the people who are already part of it, the better off we're going to be. So some of the evolution is to keep it fresh. Some of the evolution is because every time we do something, we learn things. And if we've learned something new, it would be crazy not to implement. Or if we hear of a new way to heighten audience involvement, why would we not try that? And we did at the celebration breakfast this most recent time. We implemented some interaction with the audience with a platform called Kahoot. Put together a Kahoot game.
So our first one is, in just one word, tell us how you are feeling this morning. Okay, we have about 15 more seconds to get your answer in about how we are feeling this morning. Just one word. Let's see. Excited, happy, great, full. We're glad you're full and you've enjoyed the breakfast this morning. Seems like we're in a very celebratory mood, so I'm glad to see all of these positive words popping up on the screen.
It was really fun to use and it went really well. It's important to note that we tested Kahoot 10 times before we put it forth to an audience of 300 people, because we didn't want something to derail us, or we didn't want to discover something we didn't know about the platform in real time in front of 300 people. We wanted to learn those things and make adjustments beforehand.
That would definitely have had a damper, unexpected damper on the experience. experience of the day, but I would say the Kahoot experience was fun, being a participant and seeing the level of engagement and excitement of the different people at the table as they were not only learning and sharing and connecting, but once again having fun and demonstrating joy as they did it. But I did know it's important to state that the Patterson Foundation is fortunate enough to be able to undertake its philanthropic work in a way others are not doing, cannot do, or will not do. And that even comes with event excellence or event planning. But that doesn't mean we're the only one who can do events with excellence just because we have that flexibility. So with that said, Beth, what are one or two tangible things that our audience can do, whether an individual, whether an organization, to add a bit of excellence to their next event, regardless of how big it is or what it is?
I do think we call it living the day can be very important for people. And really what that is to take the time to truly think about every aspect of the event. From the time people drive in, say you're just having a dinner party at your house. Where are they going to park? How are they going to know where to park? Are there, neighbors who don't like people parking in certain parts of the neighborhood? To really think that through, how can you get the information to people on where to park? Do they know what time they're supposed to arrive? Do they know whether or not they're supposed to bring anything with them? All of those things you can think of ahead of time and incorporate into any invitations or follow through. Another thing that I really recommend people to do, especially if you're planning in advance, is to certainly plan when your invitation is going out, but when is your reminder going out? And how many reminders do you want to send? Because then you can figure out how you're going to layer in any additional information into the reminders that are going out. Another thing that I would really advise people to do is, in your time planning, plan a cushion so that you're never under the gun. You know, that if your event is starting at 9 a.m., you want to have everything done by 8:30, just in case something goes wrong. You'll have that cushion of time to be able to fix it or change something that needs to be changed or adjusted. So those would be two easy things. I could go on all day about the other things, we could look at, but I think those are ways that folks can truly make a difference. One other thing is to rely on a team. So if you are not planning an event by yourself, which I recommend, getting other brains in on it because it makes it much, much easier, but delegating things to people. And when you delegate to people, part of that delegation should be the expectation of when that thing would be completed and how both parties will know that it's done. So if you're, asking somebody to help you with the invitation for the event and you want to send the invitation out on Wednesday, you might ask for the invitation to be done by the end of the day on Monday, which would mean you'd probably want to see the first draft of the invitation a week prior, just in case something needs to be tweaked or changed, and that way everybody's comfortable with what the expectation is and you can stay on track.
Thank you for what I'm going to be calling those tangible takeaways that anyone can use, from the individual planning their dinner party to an organization planning their own version of a celebration event. So once again, thank you so much, Beth, for joining me today and giving us a behind-the-scenes look into what TPF excellence means, what it looks like, and how you go about creating it using the celebration breakfast as an example. To learn more and to stay tuned, please visit thepattersonfoundation.org.